Britain's got people.
Britain's top 3 ways to spot an Arab Spring if you're a Mid-East dictator. In at 3, the prison at The Hague emails you about your breakfast preferences. At number 2, the only people not on the street are your secret police. And at number 1, all the statues of yourself are lying nose down on the street.
So here's the thing, we have Poppy Day. This is where traditionally we have a competition of who can wear the biggest poppy at a public event. Basically what happens is the more poppy you have, the more you care, the bigger compassion you have. Because it's not good enough just to wear a little poppy like this. You actually have to start adding foliage, news night, question time of the worst. Their guests, they start about 2 weeks before Remembrance Sunday, they start queuing up. And they have to add bits onto the lapel, they have to have bits of foliage, and then of course you have to have bigger bits of foliage, then there's other plants, and then there's kind of wildlife, and then actually you start to extend outward. You get your own ecosystem, you get small sort of allotments, you get kind of like gardening rights. There's a little vineyard and a maze that they have to build on to their fucking poppy to show how much they care. And the worst offender to this, Lord Archer, he was the worst. Jeffrey Archer, I don't know why I called him Lord Archer. Archer is just what he's called. Not even Jeffrey Archer, it's Archer. That's what he's called in prison. It's good enough for prison, it's good enough for me. He lives on the top 2 stories of a tower block near the River Thames. He's got the top 2 floors. And he put on a plastic poppy on his balcony that took up 2 stories. The entire thing, this massive red poppy disc on his balcony. So everyone driving along the embankment saw this poppy and said, Jeffrey cares! I was so angry because it's ostentatious. It's all about, I care more than you, look how much I care. Because everyone knew it was him up there. Anyway, I phoned up Lambeth Planning and said, I want to report an unsafe structure. Completely true. I told them where it was and they said, do you know who owns it? And I said, Lord Archer, and they said, we'll get back to you. Anyway, the point being is this, we've moved now from biggest poppy onto burning poppies. The Daily Mail start their run up by the Muslims against Crusades have got a plan to burn another poppy. Now, in hindsight, this is the symbol we've got. We've got the poppy. In hindsight, perhaps, it would have been better to choose a symbol that wasn't linked with heroism and heroin. Actually, if I was Taliban, this is how I'd smuggle my heroin. I'd put it on my poppy. Right now, I'd walk through going, I'm patriotic. I'd have a massive great bunch of heroin on my lapel and walk through with it. You'd get through without any problem. Anyway, the point being is enough of my smuggling tips. The point about this, though, is that this is surely actually our right to be offended includes this whole thing to be able to burn the poppy. And actually what we should do is actually say, if you want to burn the poppy, you go ahead and burn the poppy. But you need to comply with health and safety regulations. You can be Muslims against Crusaders and you can cause offence, but you have to do it with a hard hat and goggles and with tongs and with popper gloves and with a receptacle for the falling paper to fall in. You need a roped off area, you need a sand bucket, you need an extinguisher, and you need a health and safety representative. That, my friends, will be the proper way of doing it. And incidentally, some of these politicians have got so much foliage on their shoulder these days that burning it is actually good garden management.
Situation. Take a seat. Now, as you know, time's been tough for the family, and I'm afraid we've had to undergo fundamental restructure.
Well, what does that mean, Daddy?
We're going to have to let you go.
What? Daddy?
Mr. Hargreaves, Daddy is not appropriate.
It's no reflection on your schoolwork, but the fact remains you bring in very little revenue.
But...
After they let the nanny go, surely you must have seen the writing on the wall.
We'll give you an excellent reference.
This is just as difficult for us as it is for you. Although we will still have a home and your former sisters. Now, off you go and pack your things.
When does the Lithuanian sun start?
Monday. We won't regret this, Jane. And it's cheaper than outsourcing Indian children.
Bye, Mummy and Daddy.
Yes. Good luck.
What are we thinking? I can't let him go. Stop! I think you'll find Mr. Snuffles is a Hargreaves family asset.
Britain's top 3 candidates for Russian president. Number 3, Vladimir Putin. In at 2, Vladimir Putin. And number 1, Vladimir Putin.
So there we are, arresting 3 people for burning poppies in Northern Ireland. They're kids, actually. They're kids. They got arrested for burning a poppy. They put it on Facebook. One of them has been charged with the improper use of electronic media, which, as we all know, is downloading pornography. The other 2 are arrested for incitement of hatred for burning a poppy, and you think this is nuts. When in fact, surely to God, we should be thanking the fact that they're only burning bits of paper these days. Isn't that a good thing, rather than trying to firebomb people and blow things up? Isn't that a sign of progress that we've actually just come on to poppies these days? Surely that's a good thing. And then, of course, you've got the whole ethic of, actually, is it right to arrest someone for causing offence? Is it right to arrest someone for actually burning a poppy? Does it really incite hatred? Doesn't burning a guy incite hatred? Isn't that Guy Fawkes, as in anti-Catholicism? Here we are in Lewis. You look at Lewis. The whole town should be arrested. They have this huge firework display where they burn the Pope and they burn Rupert Murdoch this year and Rebecca Wade, and they burned David Cameron. Those things are acceptable. But I mean, you know, surely to God, you can look through it historically and say there are things you can be offended about there. The whole point is the right to be offended goes with freedom of speech, and you can't help feeling that in the shout to be offended, actually we forget actually what it is about. And actually we should concentrate on the really important thing, which is about remembering sacrifice. What you should do is regard this thing as a symbol of individual remembrance, rather than as some shibboleth that we have to adhere to because it's part of our identity. I'm of that generation that can remember their relatives who actually fought in the war, and I like to wear a poppy because it remembers them.